Yeah.
Computer is moving very slow today. Oh, that's okay. What I'll do is I'll use their computer during the break. Because it shouldn't take that long. Oh, no, that's fine. I'll just do it right here. It shouldn't take that long.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Happy, is this Wednesday? It seems like it should be Friday or something. And everybody is coughing. Does anybody need any Paul's cough drops?
Hi, Judge, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Here, I'll take one if you're off.
Just remember your social distancing. Yeah. You're welcome. We try to keep a little medicine cabinet here. Sure. All right, everyone. Today is Wednesday. We're actually going to start a jury trial at 10:30. So anyone who's not here by 10:15 or taking care of your issues by 10:15, what's going to end up happening is you're going to be recalled for a different day. So I have Omar Madison, right? Latasha Jenkins, Margaret Powell,
Present with counsel, Judge.
Ernesto Dominguez Martinez. Thank you. Gregory Gonzalez Jr. Gregory Gonzalez Jr. Aisha Calderon. And then there's Richard MONTEZ. So everyone, please confer. It's a small docket today. And for those of you who are here and your attorney's not here, you may want to call your attorney because cases are going to be reset. And was your name not called? What's your name? All right. Regal. All right. If you can approach, please. Have you had contact with your attorney? All right. Just come forward. We'll look you up. Oh, just step over here. All right, Margaret Powell. All right, and where's your attorney? Timothy Roundtree. Where did he go? Okay, just give a moment. Hi. Okay. All right, thank you. Let me see. Ah, you're here. Okay. That's okay. All right, Margaret Powell. Yes, come forward. And you're on that side. All right, so I have this update letter about your treatment.
Yes, ma'am.
So it shows that you were released from rehab. So what are you doing now? I mean, how are we addressing issues?
Oh, I'm retired.
No, judge is asking you, how are you pursuing sobriety since you've been released?
Oh,
Yes.
I've been taking walks and, going about my business with my dog, how I used to do. It's been 21 years since, I had one, and that was right after my divorce.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
that's okay. I know.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I was very nervous. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's no need to be nervous. I receive letters all the time from pretrial services, and I like to make sure that things are going and progressing as they should be. So what you're charged with is driving while intoxicated, third or more.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know any of the facts of the case, but I know that you should be on ignition interlock or you should be on some sort of device.
Yes.
So it shows that you were in Haven, but then you were released to a rehab center.
Mhm.
And so you were released from that rehab center on November 25th. So I need to know what's going on in your life currently. Are you on ignition interlock? Are you on scram? What's going on?
Judge, can I help? with that
Yes.
a little bit? She is not on the condition of like, her car is in the repair shop, but it's likely never, the intention is not going to drive anymore. Not gonna have that because we like to ask support to give her the Smart Start mobile device.
So she's on nothing.
She's on nothing, because she's been, and she did file an affidavit with the pretrial services, I think, provided to her.
All right. Just one moment. Could you have pretrial services, Morgan Brown, zoom in? Thank you.
So we would ask that she would be given that mobile device, and then, in speaking with her husband, Leonard, I know that they are looking at Celebrate Recovery chapter to get her involved in.
Okay.
Follow that. So those are the two areas where I think that the trial had.
All right. And what is happening with this underlying case?
It's unindicted, judge. It's about a month old,
Okay.
maybe a month and a half. She went to the rehab because she knew she did. That was voluntary, that wasn't court.
All right. So state, have you been able to confer with them over the use of the Smart Start as opposed to ignition interlock?
No, Your Honor.
All right. If you'll confer with the state on that, and then I'm going to have pretrial services officers zoom in. But what I can tell you is, if you're going to be doing Smart Start, I will need an affidavit stating that you will not be driving.
Yes, ma'am.
If you drive, emergency or not, I'm going to find out about it, and then we'll be hearing your case potentially with you being brought over from the jail.
Yes, ma'am.
So
I
if,
understand.
all right, so if you tell me and you do the affidavit saying that you're not going to be driving, then you cannot drive whatsoever. You understand?
I wasn't driving anyway, but
No.
never mind, but
Yeah.
I
It's in the-
Yes.
get to the point.
There you
Yes.
go.
But I,
Your answer is yes, ma'am, I will not.
yes, ma'am, I will not drive it. And I've been trying to get a hold of my interlock person and I can't. No response.
Oh, well, we're going to take care of that today because your pretrial services officer is going to zoom in.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. All right. So just stay here, put some patience in your pocket. And as soon as the pretrial services officer zooms in, we'll take this matter up.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. Is there anyone else who's ready?
I'm ready.
Yes. Who are you here for?
Yeah.
Just one moment. I'm sorry. Okay. Everyone, just give me a moment. All right, on this case. Are you asking for a private investigator? Or are you asking for? All right, so if you're asking for an investigator and for this other person, you need to divide it up because I can't just do a general fund. So just divide it up. All right. Yes. Sure.
¿Es el teléfono contigo?
Okay.
Ah, teléfono. ¿Dónde está el teléfono? ¿Dónde está el teléfono?
You're welcome. Is anyone else ready?
Is yours? No.
Your Honor, I am.
Who do you have?
A la segunda silla de arriba. La segunda silla de arriba.
All right, is he a Spanish speaker?
So weird. I would say.
Okay. All right, the interpreter will be down shortly. Who's your case? All right, and where is Gregory Gonzalez?
Mr. Gonzalez?
All right, what is happening with this case? Have you conferred with the state? All right, do you have all the discovery? All right, so we'll recall this for December 14th, and they'll give you a reset form. You're welcome. Anyone else ready? Yes.
Need to be recalled for Friday still? or can I get
Yes.
a reset today?
They'll be back on Friday.
So I've got to see the lead and
All right, you can zoom in.
I'm-
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes. Yes, who are you here?
I'm here in Madison. I just talked to Mike. He ran upstairs. to print out a new discovery.
Okay. Okay.
We'll be back down and then we're here for discovery.
All right, so will that take care of all of this discovery?
I believe so.
Okay. And is your client on bond? All right, if you can come forward.
Sure.
All right, and were they able to tender an offer?
We have an offer and we have a new offer and he's looking to one other possibility.
All right, so I'm going to give you a plea deadline date. The plea deadline date is going to be January 11.
So
And they'll give you a reset form. Caroline, can you give them a reset form for January 11th?
and I'll sign it. I'll give it to Scriven.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Welcome. All right, where's Miss Powell's attorney? All right. Is he in the hallway? All right, Ms. Powell, if you can come forward, please. Ms. Brown,
Good morning, Judge.
good morning. So I have before me, Margaret Powell, and she needs to be placed on, a mobile device. How soon can that be done?
I didn't hear the last part. I'm sorry.
I have Ms. Powell before me. She needs to be placed on the mobile device. How soon can that be done?
With the vendors and Toxalog, they're the ones who have availability right now. I would say probably within a week. The latest, if you go through RMS, they do have the Scram remote. It's $180 a month, so it is a little bit more expensive. It's just whatever you order.
And how much is the other device?
Within Toxalog, I believe it comes out to maybe $80 a month.
There's, Ms. Powell does live in Austin. I don't think I'm a barrier to either device, but just for you to know, she lives in Austin.
All right. All right, so let's set up for the device that's the least expensive device. And do you have her contact information?
I do, and I know that she was transferred to me from an officer that left, and everything's being transferred over, and there's been kind of a little delay in that. But I do believe I have her correct phone number on file.
All right, and do you have her number as well?
I do.
All right, so I'm going to want her on that other device then as quickly as possible. And so if you can give me an update, because you say it will take a week possibly.
Yes, just because there is a shortage with the vendors, but in Toxalog has had a better turnaround time than Lifesaver or Smart Start. The only difference is the device within Toxalog is bigger. It's not a handheld. It comes in like a briefcase, but it is portable.
All right, and just as long as it's the least expensive device. And she's going to provide you with an affidavit for non-driving if she hasn't already provided that. And so I'm going to ask for an update on this by December 9th. So you should have it before then. If she already has the device and you send that to me, then she won't have to come.
Okay, perfect. I do have the affidavit. The only thing I don't have is it being file stamped by the clerk. However, if the conditions are modified, I can just attach the regular affidavit.
All right, and I will put on there that the conditions are to be no driving.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, is there anything else? All right, thank you. Thank you for coming in. All right, and then we have Mr. Martinez. Yes. Who is your client?
Ernesto Martinez.
Have you conferred with the state?
Yes, ma'am. And matter of fact, they signed off on it on the bottom of the motion. Or agreements to the $15,000 bond subject to the court's approval.
the police, had asked for us to drop.
Yes. Do you have the? No, I have the motion, but do you have the background check?
We have been confirmed with the probation and they were checking up on that. In terms of, as you go on.
No. I mean, the background check, the laws have changed, so I need specific information in order to set a bond. And the legislature did that. And I don't have that. Okay, we can request it, or either what you can do, the people who have immediate access to it would be the magistrate judges. So if you want to go to them, I can send them an email and tell them that they have my permission to set the bond on this matter.
Okay.
All right, so they will take it up. And I believe the magistrate who's on duty now is Judge Celeste Ramirez. So if you'll call her and let her know that she has my permission to set the bond. Yes.
Any specific amount in case you.
No, you can tell them what you and the state have agreed to, but she has the ability to go into the system to obtain the information that's needed. Okay. Do you need this back?
In case you just need it, it's very.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Yes, I will. Good morning. Yes.
Your Honor, he does have a warrant for this part. So I'm looking for more information.
All right, so he's gonna have to remain in custody, and once you get the bond set,
Yeah, my question is here or over there?
no, he's gonna be in custody here,
Okay.
but you'll need to contact Judge Ramirez.
This sometimes we need to get privilege.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
The opposite. That's each one, please.
That team purple tie. You even got a purple tie for the clients.
One of you.
Yes.
Make sure they don't talk. I'm driving my friend's car. Okay? But I'm on bond.
Okay. Right now, you've got a remand.
We need to manage.
You've got a, what is the warrant to Chess? Hold on.
What is it? What is it? What is it? Oh, I mean, I get a copy.
Okay.
So.
Oh, agree.
All right, Aisha Calderon. Hello. All right, my understanding is I referred you to felony drug court and you don't want to go.
No, ma'am, I didn't receive it. Drug court came back and told me that I don't have room. So the drug court was at capacity and they recommended Esperanza Court.
Mhm.
And Esperanza Court accepted, however, that's when Ms. Calderon, from my understanding, rejected the Esperanza.
All right, so here's the thing, you can go to Esperanza Court or a motion to revoke can be filed, and maybe you can go to prison. So which would you prefer?
I just couldn't sign on that.
Well, no, here's the thing, you can go to Esperanza Court or a motion to revoke can be filed and you can go to prison. Which would you prefer? All right, file a motion to revoke. All right, did Ms. Jenkins step outside to speak with her attorney or call her attorney? Okay, all right.
He's been here a lot. We just didn't even care. I called the email him yesterday. And then he was like 5 hours or something. She had no docket. I'm like, oh, no docket, sweet. You know, and then I looked at the camera. I was like, oh. You're like, oh, actually. Yeah.
Who's the person here in the, who are you here for?
Oh, I was just one friend.
All right, thank you.
They emailed me.
Yes, you can do that. If that's easiest for you all.
Trying to figure out the phone.
Yes. All right, and who is this in the box?
I didn't know anything about the.
No,
28
stop.
year old.
Here's, no, stop. Okay,
She was about to the retrial for the 290. Oh, if I'm here.
no, stop. This is not the 290. Here's the thing, I understand that you're distressed right now because you're in custody and you expect to come to court to be in custody. But I'm trying to figure out why you're in custody, so you need to time out. You need to take a deep breath and calm down. We're trying to figure things out. Do you understand? All right. So who's her attorney? All right. So could you call Andrew, please? Yes.
I need to pay for parking so they don't tow my friend's car.
Here's the thing. Number one, you're in custody. So the deputies are not going to allow you to leave because you're in custody.
Oh, they can do it away.
Just a moment. Okay. So let's see where Andrew, here we are handling the case that's not even in our court. Hmm?
Send him over to the 187. I'll be on the 290. I don't know what she's here to 187.
And let him know he needs to come over quickly because we're starting up a jury trial.
It's on Crystal Map. Crystal Map. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, Your Honor.
It's a pre-indictments and they don't see pre-indictments.
Yes. You're welcome. And Deputy Laura, he says, who needs her phone to, I guess, pay for parking. Can that be done? They'll help you with your parking.
How are you?
Yeah. I can leave.
I mean, I'm gonna put it all over there. Ah, it's fun.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you. Probably the new one.
All right, we're going to take a brief recess so that I can look at some things on MONTEZ. Yes, please. Child video. All right, the court is going to call 2022 CR 9260, State of Texas versus Richard MONTEZ. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state
James Ishmael for the state, John Kent for the state.
and for the defense?
Kelly Biddle for defense, Orlando Johnson for defense.
And are both parties ready to proceed? State,
State's ready.
defense?
Defense is ready.
All right, so defense, you have the motion in limine, I'm sorry, the 404B objections to the notice.
Yes, as I stated before we start from, they were sent to us Monday evening at 4:45 PM. And none of them,
Oh, and I'm sorry,
didn't say-
councils, yes, please remain seated because it'll be easy for the microphones to pick up and easy for me to hear. And with regards to the 404B notice, does anyone have a copy of the 404B notice that was given? So I can see what you all are talking about.
approach.
Yes. And we'll take them one at a time. All right, so for the record, the court has been given a 404B notice sent to defense counsel by email. And it shows that it was tendered on Monday, November 28th at 4:45 PM. Is that correct, State?
Yes, Judge.
All right. So my understanding, there are 5 points that are a part of the notice. So we'll take each one in order. So the first one, number 1, it says Richard MONTEZ was shooting in the air approximately 20 to 30 minutes before the shooting involving our 2 victims. All right, State, where did that information come from, or who did that come from?
Judge, we had just recently, the same day the email interviewed 2 witnesses that we've been looking for years, Isabel Rodriguez and Brianna Rodriguez.
All right, so did that information in number 1 come from both of those persons?
Yes.
All right, and what date did you receive that information from them?
We met with them November the 28th.
All right. And so that's when you received the information from them? On November 28th?
Judge, if I can have this marked as perhaps an exhibit, I can approach,
Yes.
offer Isabel Rodriguez's statement for purposes of this hearing.
Objection.
All right, just give me one moment. All right, so the court is in receipt of State's Exhibit number 1, which is a statement from Isabel Alexis Rodriguez. So State, my understanding from what you're telling the court is that you received the detailed information from Isabel and Brianna Rodriguez on November 28th. Is that correct?
Judge, if I might clarify, we met with them on November the 28th. I think their statement does reference that there was a shooting 10 minutes before the other shooting. And it's sort of, our argument is that it was sort of contemporaneous. I understand the email references as a 404B. I think that may be a bit of a misnomer. When I talked to Mr. Coons after we met with them, I asked him just sort of sum up a few things. and so that's what he did.
But here's the court's question. So I like to do things in order because I like for the record to be very clear and so that I can make a ruling. So with regards to number one, that notification, did that come from Brianna Rodriguez and Isabel Rodriguez? Is that when you talked to them?
They had told us that, yes, Judge.
Okay, and that happened on November 28th?
Yes, sir.
And after you spoke to them, then you sent an email with number one that's in the email. You sent that to defense. Is that correct?
Mr. Coons said yes.
All right. So here's my question about what's in the 404B notice in number one that states Richard MONTEZ was shooting in the air approximately 20 to 30 minutes before the shooting involving our two victims. Has that been tendered previously to the defense in the form of a witness's statement? And defense, I do understand that 404B notice means you need to be given notice and it's not necessarily just an open file. But with regards to number one, it appears to the court from State's Exhibit number one that that information is in the statement from Isabel Alexis Rodriguez. Is that correct?
It's correct, Judge, and it's been tendered to the defense since the beginning.
All right, defense, with regards to, we're just focusing on number one. With regards to that, what is your argument?
First and foremost, it's only in Isabel Alexis Rodriguez's statement. It's not in Brianna Rodriguez's statement. And just what you just stated, Judge, having an open file policy and sending us a copy of a statement does not give us notice of their intent to use that statement. So those are two separate things. And this is not contemporaneous because it's different than the alleged offense. And the notice is untimely. It's the day, it's less than 24 hours before we're set to begin this case. So it's untimely and it should not come in.
All right, so defense, would you agree that number one, where it states Richard MONTEZ was shooting in the air approximately 20 to 30 minutes before the shooting involving two victims, that information is contained in State's Exhibits number one, which is the statement from Elizabeth Alexis Rodriguez?
One second, Judge.
Isabel, Judge.
I'm sorry, Isabel Alexis Rodriguez.
Well, let me just keep it with you. I mean, the timeframes are different in that the email from Mr. Kuntz doesn't state exactly. There's not a time frame on Mr. Kuntz to both of us, yes.
All right. All right, so let's move on to number two. Number two, it states Richard MONTEZ was harassing Isabel that same night since she had kicked him out approximately one day before for shooting a gun inside her residence. He was walking in front of her apartment on Angel Walk, shouting things like, "These bullets should be for you and your kids." With regards to that, for be noticed, State, are you intending to offer that or seek to offer that in the first phase of the trial?
Yes, sir.
All right, and where might that be? Was that contained in any other statement?
Show you from the Mark State 2. Brianna's statement.
All right, any objections to State's Exhibit number 2 for purposes of this hearing, defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so the court has been given State's Exhibit 2, which is a statement of Brianna Michelle Rodriguez. All right, State, with regards to number 2, where it states Richard Montez was harassing Isabel that same night since she had kicked him out approximately one day before for shooting a gun inside her residence. He was walking in front of her apartment on Angela Walk, shouting things like, "These bullets should be for you and your kids." When did you learn of that statement?
The last part of it would have been on that Monday, Judge.
All right. And then once you learned of that on Monday, the November 28th, did you tender notice to the defense?
Yes, sir.
All right. And defense, number 2, is that in any statement that you've received
No,
prior to state? Is that in any statement?
Brianna's statement references that the mother had broken up with him 3 days earlier, but it doesn't specifically say anything about kicking him out. So no.
All right. And there's nothing in there about in any statement where it says he was walking in front of her apartment shouting, "These bullets should be for you and your kids"?
Correct, yes.
All right. So with regards to number 2, I'm sorry, with regards to number 1, the court is going to allow that. With regards to number 2, that will be denied. All right, let's move on to number 3. And the court, with regards to number 2, the court is finding that that's not proper notice. Because the court has been not given any documentation to show that the defense would have received that information through any other discovery or statement.
in regards to number 1, Judge, are you finding that it's contemporaneous or that the notice is sufficient?
I'm finding that the notice is sufficient. With regards to number 3, where it states Richard Montez had assaulted their mom, Gloria, on at least, and with regards to these rulings are for purposes of their purposes for phase 1 of the trial. I don't know what may be happening throughout testimony. So just know that in phase 1 of the trial, and Mr. Montez, if we get to phase 2, then we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But for now, this is not coming in phase 1 of the trial. So some things may happen differently where it may end up coming in punishment if we get there. All right, number 3, it says Richard Montez had assaulted their mom, Gloria, on at least one occasion, and he had also assaulted Isabel by shoving her in the face. State, did you learn of that on Monday as well?
Yes, sir.
And did you tender documentation of this for 4B to the defense on Monday as well?
We did.
All right. And is that in any statement or any discovery that was previously tendered? Does anyone know?
No, Judge.
State?
I don't believe it has.
All right, then that will be denied. Number 4, Richard Montez was regularly using ICE for many months prior to February 2nd, 2018. Did you learn of that on Monday as well?
No, well, Judge, from this witness, but we had given them previous 4-4B notice.
Defense?
That's correct, Judge. Their previous 4-4B stated that they one second, Judge. On November 14th, 2022. Number 23 says the defendant smoked ice regularly in the months preceding February 2nd, 2018. So that the notice that they gave on Monday, November 28th is close to that. The one on November 14th, it doesn't state who that evidence is going to come through or who's going to proffer that evidence.
All right, number
And it
4.
also was not 20 days prior to the beginning of trial. In addition, someone using illegal narcotics for months before an alleged offense is prejudicial because it has nothing to do with what happens on February 2nd, 2018.
All right, so at this point in time, the court is just deciding whether or not there's sufficient notice. Whether any of this actually comes in during the trial objections will be raised and the court will make its ruling. So now we're just concentrating on whether that there's sufficient notice.
Sure. So I guess our argument is on November 14th, when they sent that notice, it's not proper notice because it doesn't state who the testimony is going to be elicited from. So them stating on November 28th that it's going to come from Brianna Rodriguez and Isabel Rodriguez is untimely notice.
All right, state.
I respectfully disagree. We're required to give them notice. We don't have to identify the particular source, where we came from. Every witness is going to say it. If it's a bad act, we have to give them notice and they have it.
All right, then that will be denied defense. Number 5, it says Richard Montez threatened Isabel with a gun in her apartment when he was on ice. State, did you learn of that on November 28th?
We did, Judge.
All right, and then did you tender that notice to the defense on November 28th? All right, and has that information been in any previous discovery?
No.
All right, then with regards to number 5, that will be granted. All right, Deputy Laura, are the jurors all present?
Yes, Your Honor, they're all here.
Judge, just to clarify, 3 was granted and not denied. Is that? You said denied, and I think just the.
Oh, sorry. Number 1 is coming in. Number 3. I'm sorry, number 2, I think I said that's not coming in, correct?
Correct.
Number 3, I believe I said that was coming in. Did I say that was coming in?
I believe you said that it's not coming in, Judge.
Yes, please look. Brenda, as you know, there are emergencies that are happening around me. Well, let's just do this. With regards to number 3. Is there any discovery to that in state?
No, Judge.
All right, then that will not be coming in. So the ones that are coming in is number 1, number 4, and number 2. Were there any statements to that defense in discovery?
No.
And we should probably take that because there are 2 sentences. The first sentence where it says that Mr. Montez was harassing Isabel. Is there anything in discovery for that?
No, Your Honor.
State, is there anything in the discovery with regards to that first sentence? All right, so that's not coming in. And then the second sentence, he was walking in front of her apartment on Angela Walk, shouting things like, "These bullets should be for you and your kids." Was that previously tendered in discovery through any other witness? All right, so then number 2 is not coming in. So the ones that are coming in that the court is finding that there is notice of is number 1 and number 4. Is there anything else before we line the jury up?
Do you still want parties to approach before they intend to get into that, or you're saying they can get into it as right now?
Well, if there are going to be objections, of course, when a question is asked, just make your objections and the court will make its ruling.
Okay.
All right. All right, if we can line them up. Defense. All right, everyone, just so you know, your mics are on. Defense state, your mics are on. So for the microphone, with the long one, you need to hold it down for it not to be on. And for the other one, when you want it off, you just press it on red.
And this is for Zoom?
That's for Zoom and also for me to hear.
Okay.
So just remember,
Pressing it, I-
Will you guys confirm with each other?
So that if you're in a show, I do better, so it'd be like, hey. But you can do whatever. works.
Sort of a housekeeping thing. Yeah. On a disc. I'm gonna put the state's exhibit tag on the cover of the disc,
Yes.
not on the actual disc, because I don't think the disc will play.
okay,
Is that okay?
yes, that's fine.
Okay.
No objection. And we're gonna vote to rule address.
Okay. All right, so both parties, if there is any witnesses that you intend to call. All right,
We're not calling.
and look, Daniel is staying here to help with the computer equipment.
Apparently, I'm destroying their computer.
What did you do?
Trying to get it so I can see.
Oh, Daniel, please help. If only they knew how broke down our equipment was to begin with, they wouldn't destroy it.
Can you see?
Yeah.
This down.
You said only mouse is fine.
No, that's fine. But that- We're gonna.
All right. Just one second. Our party's ready?
No, sorry, we're having technical difficulties.
So what's the issue?
Just because I think he wants to monitor on the ground. like if I were to do that.
Oh, yeah, you can't do that.
Okay. All right. I'll just keep it up and it looks kind of that way.
And you're gonna ultimately need that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to use it to play the CD. Is the computer song?
And you know, there are codes to get into those computers, so.
Things like you can push the monitor down.
Yeah,
You
Do
can
you-
slide the monitor down.
do you want that?
You can raise your seat too, James.
All right. Is everybody ready? State, you ready?
I believe we're ready.
All right, let's bring them in.
All right, for the jury. Always be in a chair, okay?
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's one of my students. I think he's looking for, he's looking for Genesis. Yes, he's in the, these are my students. All right, everyone, please be seated. Yes.
Nobody's
All right. All right, so as you can tell, my docket, even though it was small, it ended up going beyond what we thought it would go beyond, but I still will make sure that we have our break for lunch. I'm going to have you all raise your hands for me, your right hands. I know you did an downstairs, but I need to give you the oath for this specific trial. Do you and each of you solemnly swear or affirm in the case of the state of Texas against Mr. MONTEZ, you will a true verdict render according to the law and the evidence, so help you God?
Oh my God.
All right, you can lower your hand. All right, state. And Mr. MONTEZ, if you could rise. Yes. Thank you.
True bill of indictment. In the name and by authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury of Garrett County, state of Texas, duly organized and paneled and sworn as such in the September term AD 2022 of the 226th Judicial District Court of said county in said court at said term do present in and to said court that in the county and state aforesaid and interior to the presentment of this indictment, count 1, paragraph A. On or about the 3rd day of February 2018, Richard MONTEZ did intentionally and knowingly cause the death of an individual, namely Benito Gallegos, by shooting Benito Gallegos with a deadly weapon, namely a firearm, and did intentionally and knowingly cause the death of an individual, namely Angel Guevara, by shooting Angel Guevara with a deadly weapon, namely a firearm, and both murders were committed during the same criminal transaction. Paragraph B. On or about the 3rd day of February 2018, Richard MONTEZ did intentionally and knowingly cause the death of an individual, namely Benito Gallegos, by shooting Benito Gallegos with a deadly weapon, namely a firearm. And on or about the 3rd day of February 2018, Richard MONTEZ did intentionally and knowingly cause the death of an individual, namely Angel Guevara, by shooting Angel Guevara with a deadly weapon, namely a firearm. And both murders were committed pursuant to the same scheme or course of conduct, but during different criminal transactions. Count 3, paragraph A. On or about 3rd day of February 2018, Richard MONTEZ did intentionally and knowingly cause the death of an individual, namely Benito Gallegos, hereinafter referred to as paragraph B. On or about the 3rd day of February 2018, Richard MONTEZ with intent to cause serious bodily injury to an individual, namely Benito Gallegos, hereinafter referred to as complainant, did commit an act clearly dangerous to human life that caused the death of Benito Gallegos by shooting the complainant with a deadly weapon, namely a firearm. Paragraph C. On or about the 3rd day of February 2018, Richard MONTEZ, hereinafter referred to as defendant, did then and there commit or attempt to commit the felony offense of aggravated assault, while in the course of, or in furtherance of, or in immediate flight from the commission or the attempted commission of this offense. The defendant did then and there commit or attempt to commit an act clearly dangerous to human life, to wit, shooting the complainant with a deadly weapon, namely a firearm, thereby causing the death of an individual, namely Benito Gallegos. Count 4, paragraph A. On or about the 3rd day of February 2018, Richard MONTEZ did intentionally and knowingly cause the death of an individual, namely Angel Guevara, hereinafter referred to as complainant, by shooting the complainant with a deadly weapon, namely a firearm. Paragraph B. On or about the 3rd day of February 2018, Richard MONTEZ with intent to cause serious bodily injury to an individual, namely Angel Guevara, hereinafter referred to as complainant, did commit an act clearly dangerous to human life that caused the death of Angel Guevara by shooting the complainant with a deadly weapon, namely a firearm. Paragraph C. On or about the 3rd day of February 2018, Richard MONTEZ, hereinafter referred to as defendant, did then and there commit or attempt to commit the felony offense of aggravated assault, and while in the course of, or in furtherance of, or in immediate flight from the commission or the attempted commission of the offense, the defendant did then and there commit or attempt to commit an act clearly dangerous to human life, to wit, shooting the complainant with a deadly weapon, namely a firearm, thereby causing the death of an individual, Angel Guevara, against the peace and dignity of the state, signed by the foreman of the grand jury.
All right, Mr. MONTEZ, to each of those counts and paragraphs, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? State, thank you. You may be seated. State, are you prepared with opening statements? All right, you may proceed.
Good morning.
Morning.
February 2nd, 2018, that night, around midnight, just before midnight, just as February 3rd would start to roll around, there were a bunch of shots that rang out from the Cassiano courts, or it's a public housing on the west side. And when there's shots that go out, police do their job. And the police responded to the scene, and they kind of hope that no one's hurt. But they go around, they canvass people. They know from the 911, as you're going to hear the 911 calls, that'll be our first witness. A lot of people don't want to give their names. They don't want to give who they are. But one person did in 202,
and Christopher Walk. And they noticed that there were gunshots in their apartment, and they were kind of thinking maybe that was it. But then they were flagged down by a guy named Sotero Guevara. And they went to his apartment. And unfortunately, it's pretty much what every parent's worst nightmare is. And that is when you go in there and you see a child, your child, hurt, shot, and you can't do anything about it. And you can't stop it. You can't fix it. You can't make it any better. And that is what unfortunately happened to Mr. Guevara. And he's going to tell you what happened, that he was there with his family. They were just minding their own business, and all of a sudden they heard a bunch of shots. They tried to get down. One of the shots went through his home. And unfortunately, Angel Guevara, his 14-year-old boy, got hit in the head. And you're going to hear from him. You're going to hear from the cops that were on the scene. Even the cops were on the scene. It's when you see the blood, when you see someone hurt like that, when you see the fact that they're struggling to breathe, it's a lot. And so they did what they could. They called EMS, and EMS got out there fast. And they got out there, they transported him to the hospital. But unfortunately, about a little over a day later, he passed. They did what they could. And quite frankly, some people were surprised he managed to hold on to that long, but he was a fighter. So at this point, they know they have a 14-year-old boy shot in the head. They know he's probably not going to live. Question is, what do they do about it? Can they find the chief? Is there someone who's going to be willing to sort of point out where the shooters are? And fortunately, there was. A woman pointed out that the shooters were in a particular address. And so what they did is they knew where the address was, that apartment. They set up on that apartment. And they tried to make contact with the apartment. And the people in the apartment tried to pretend like they weren't there, like it was vacant, like it was dark. But the police didn't go away. They camped there all night. And the next day when SWAT showed up, that's when things started to happen. But before that, while they were setting up and while they were surrounding the apartment, while they were making sure that no one could get in and out of that apartment, they received another call. And it was sort of a bizarre situation. Just a couple blocks away, there's a guy named Margarito Vigil, almost a 61-year-old man. And he was driving a gray car, and his uncle, Benito Gallego, was in the driver's seat, was in the passenger seat. And we're going to hear from the two police officers. They had trouble understanding him. They thought he might have been drunk. They couldn't figure out what it was. And so, they're working on an active shooter, and they're saying, look, just go on your way. And he's like, well, I'm going to the hospital. I'm like, whoa, why are you going to the hospital? Well, my uncle's been shot. I'm like, what do you mean? And so 69-year-old Benito Gallegos in the passenger seat, you can see him in the video, just sort of get out of the car. And then he just lays down on the ground. And that's because, as the officers finally noticed, that they missed it at first, but a bullet went right through the back of the rear window, through the headrest, and right into the back of head of Mr. 69-year-old Benito Gallegos. And he was a fighter too. They took him to the hospital. And after about 2 weeks, he passed away as well from his gunshot injury. But going back to where they believe the suspects were, they waited. They waited all night. Cops didn't go anywhere. It was a dark night. It was a rainy night. Well, not a rainy night, but sort of a sprinkling night. But they didn't go anywhere. They waited, and they waited. And the next day, when SWAT's about to show up and SWAT's about to do their job, they call 911, and you're going to hear their call, where they finally decided they want to come out. All the people in that apartment come out. There's a woman, there's some other people, and they find the 3 people who we've identified as the shooters: the defendant, Robert Anthony Montez, and they call him Anthony or Ant, Juan Andres Martinez, and then the third guy. And so from talking to, so they take him into custody, and they do their jobs. It's sort of what you expect police officers to do, right? They go into the apartment, and they find the weapons. The weapons are there. In fact, it's right there. Someone put them right there in the bathroom. They find the assault rifle, they find a bunch of guns, 3 guns there, and they search the apartment, and later on they find another gun, and then another gun. They find a bunch of ammo. And so they have the guns, and you're going to hear from the evidence text, and it's a little boring sometimes, but when you hear it from the people who do their CSI stuff, it's not at all like what you see on TV. It is much more boring, but it's sort of dry, but it's important. They do the best of their job. There are shell casings all over in front of the apartment that he was in, and then the next couple of apartments. And then they collected as many shell casings as they can find. And then you can kind of see the path of down the street where the young Angel Guevara had been shot. And you can see cars that had hit down the street. And it's pretty clear that they were shooting down the street. And so they do what's called the GSR test. When you fire a discharge of firearms next to it, when you fire, it discharges a powder, which is a very unique combination of substances. And Ms. Vachan, who works at the crime level, explain that to you. And all 3 defendants had gunshot residue on them, on their clothes. Just as, you know, as a precaution, they do this just to be safe. They also swabbed the victims, just to Angel Guevara and 69-year-old Benito Gallegos, just to make sure. And of course, there's no gunshot residue on there. But they do that anyways because that's part of their job. Okay. And so fortunately, the same people who sort of pointed out to the police, you know, where they were the same people who you're going to hear from today. Brianna Rodriguez and Isabella Rodriguez. Bizarrely enough, their mother was dating the defendant off and on. They lived a couple apartments down, and they're going to tell you what they saw. And one of them, she was trying to keep her head down with their kids and the shots, and she'll tell you what she saw. And the other one, who didn't have kids, apparently she was not afraid to stay by the window, was able to watch, and she saw this defendant shooting at the car as the car was driving away. And then you can see the path, you know, from where they were, or how he could go right through the window and right into his head. Ladies and gentlemen, when you hear all the evidence, when you hear everything, there won't be a reasonable doubt in your mind that this defendant did murder 2 people. And unfortunately, shootings happen. They happen all the time. And unfortunately, a 14-year-old boy died and a 69-year-old man. And when they make whatever arguments they're making, when you listen to the evidence, it's going to be clear he's guilty of murder and he should be found guilty of murder.
All right, defense, any opening statements?
Yes, Judge, may I please report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Juries in this country have a profound responsibility, profound power. And in this case, you'll have a profound responsibility and power to decide whether Richard Montez had the right to defend himself and whether Richard Montez should be responsible for the actions of another person. Now, what the evidence will show you on February 2nd is that there was suspicious activity going on at the Cassiano courts. Expect the evidence to support that there was circling of vehicles in the courts, and that you'll learn that this is not a safe neighborhood. You'll learn that the 2 individuals, there's 2 strangers that approach. They don't live in the Cassiano courts. They come late at night, and they approach people, 4 people, quite possibly, who were at their residence, on their premise, late at night, and a confrontation occurred. Now, these individuals will never, I believe, find out why they were there. And that's a question you don't have to ask as the state presents their case. Why were these people there? What were they up to? They were at the projects. They were unafraid to approach, which you'll learn. These individuals did have weapons on them, and these 2 men approached them regardless. And I believe that as the evidence is presented, you should question as to why would these men be unafraid? And you'll also learn, I believe the evidence will show, that they were carrying themselves in a manner that appeared as though they had weapons, and that they were warned to leave the premise, that they were instructed, don't reach, do not reach. The evidence will show you that Richard Montez, Julian Martinez, and Andres Martinez were scared for their lives. You'll learn that these strangers, when they approached, they appeared to have weapons. You also learned that there was a gunshot that went off. Richard Montez heard a gunshot. It was clear that Richard Montez stood his ground and reacted as anyone living in that area would. The evidence will show you that Richard Montez had a 9mm, and the physical evidence will show that he fired one series of shots from one location. The evidence will also show you that Andres Martinez had a Glock 40. The physical evidence will show, as the state had told you, a series of shots were fired and a trail of casings were found. You'll learn that the police did not perform any line tracing to determine the bullet trajectory and the position of that deadly shot and from what angle that shot was taken to either of the two complainants in this case. You learn that Richard Montez was cooperative. You learn that he willingly gave his DNA sample. You learn that Andres Martinez, I believe, will learn that he refused to submit his DNA sample. We'll learn that his own cousin, Juan Martinez, identifies him as having the Glock 40. You also learn that Juan Martinez will identify as believing Andres Martinez may have fired the first shot. And I say may because the evidence will also show you that there was a fourth person that was not arrested, but there's gunshot casings. And you'll see that there was even a gunshot casing down the, not a casing, but a wad from the firing of that gunshot down the street. And so there was quite possibly a fourth person who may have fired a shot. But we'll learn that Richard Montez heard that, already in fear of these individuals approaching them, concerned and threatened. Here's a gunshot. At the end of this trial, it'll be clear that 2 people died from one gun. It will be clear that only one person was responsible for firing that gun, and that person was not Richard Montez. Thank you.
All right, state, call your first witness.
Ruby Zamaripa. Let me go get her. She's on the side.
Take a seat here, please. All right, if you'll raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. All right, take a seat. Please make sure you keep your voice up so that everyone can hear. If you could state your name for the record and spell it.
Okay, my name is Ruby Zamaripa, RUBYZAMARRIPA.
All right, state.
Thank you. Good morning, Ruby. How are you?
Good morning, I'm good.
Would you go ahead and introduce yourself to the jurors who don't know who you are?
Yes, my name is Ruby Zamaripa. I am the custodian of records and paralegal for the communications unit.
What does that mean?
I maintain a recording system for all 911 calls, non-emergency calls, police radio transmissions, and text to 911.
And so, just so we're clear, you work for San Antonio Police Department?
Yes, I do.
And so when someone calls 911 in the city of San Antonio, you are able to, first of all, how long have you done this?
I've been with the police department for 10 years.
And have you been the custodian for that long?
Yes,
Have you testified before?
yes, I have
Do you testify all the time?
all the time.
So, what is the process by which the recordings are made? Are they described for the jury, please?
When a citizen calls 911, there's an automated recording system. So as soon as the call taker picks up the phone, that automated recording system automatically starts recording the 911 call.
So let's talk about if multiple calls come in for one incident, let's say gunshot.
Mhm.
How are those tagged to be together, basically?
So there's one case number for the case, but there are incident numbers created for each of the call that was made.
Is it common to get multiple calls for one event?
Oh, gosh, yes.
And so those, for instance, in a case, in a trial, you're able to compile all of the calls relating to that incident, correct?
Correct.
And is that what you've done in this case?
Yes.
How did you do that, or how is that process done?
Well, for these were previously saved because it's been a while. So, but it's just with the case number, you kind of go and there's an incident report created for each call that comes in. So you kind of just have to find each call by the time that the call was made.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Ruby, I'm going to show you, it's been previously marked to States Exhibit 3. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
It is the CD of the recordings of the 911 calls that were made.
How do you know it's the recordings made?
I listened to it, I initialed it and dated it.
Are you able to confirm that these relate to a criminal offense against a Richard Anthony MONTEZ?
Yes,
And that an offense that occurred February 2nd or February 3rd of 2018?
correct.
How are you able to tell the jury that you know that those calls came in related to that call?
I listened to the calls before and looked at the incident reports that came in with that case number. It just kind of all goes together.
Okay. And are these recordings made in the general course of business for you?
Correct.
All right. So this is something you're doing all the time. This is what your job is.
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, we'll offer State's Exhibit 3.
No objections, Judge.
All right,
Okay.
State's Exhibit number 3 is admitted without objection.
Thank you. I guess, can we publish them?
Yes.
Play them for the jury? While we're preparing for this, Ruby,
Yes,
there are a number of calls on here, right?
correct.
Approximately 10,
Around there, yeah.
and they're just gonna play kind of one after the other. Is that how it goes?
Yes, yes.
Fire or EMS?
Well, I was talking about the first one, and yeah, the helicopters and everything I had.
Okay, what did you have some information or?
You know, they're calling. I called like 2 times already.
Okay, and did they give you an incident number?
No.
Okay, what do you want to provide, or you have something to provide?
Yeah, I was saying there was those guys that all black and white, dudes that keep walking around off of, between two and the street that's next to it on the left. And they just keep walking around. Keep missing them.
Walking around, hold on, I'm looking at the map. Okay, so that's, okay, in reference to that, around, do you have an address where they walk around, that you see?
Yeah, this the 915, like not, and then right on the all the way on the other street, right across from there, over in there.
Okay, so when you say the other street, do you mean South Hamilton, Elmendorf, South Laredo? Where?
Yeah, so, say the other one?
South Laredo?
No, not that one.
Elmendorf?
I think it's Elmendorf. That's to the left of it, right?
If I'm looking at the map, it's to the right. So,
It might be. I think so, yeah, it's South Laredo. Yeah,
which one, South?
yeah.
South Hamilton?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the tall, lengthy, Hispanic male, short haircut, black sweatshirt, hoodie, with wet pants, white shoes, from deal. Black shirt, jeans, medium size, whatever type, Hispanic male.
Right now,
Yeah.
every type?
Yeah.
What kind of bill, heavy, light, or medium? Okay, are they hiding behind something, or?
No, they just keep like walking around. They just keep like walking around with their hands on their side, and like they're trying to be casual and normal, but they don't have a house. They just keep walking around. Now this seems weird. Just keep walking around.
And you say the officers keep missing them?
Yeah. There are a couple sirens now, so.
Okay, do you want to leave your name, sir?
Nah, I don't know.
All right, thank you for the information.
No problem.
All
Thank
right,
you.
you're welcome, have a good night.
All right. Good night.
Hi, Tony, this is Tony, do you police, fire, or EMS? Police. One, two?
Well, my husband, he's over, police, Angela. And I wanted to come down and open the door.
What's your address?
It's basically Angela,
928 or 920?
128.
Angela,
And,
what's your name?
my name is Rachel.
And Rachel, your last name?
Better.
210-303-7785.
Yeah, I'm just kidding, I don't wanna, I got done get away, so.
Okay, so were you involved in what's going on out there, or are you just trying to leave?
No. I just don't want anything to happen. And, they don't come in, but I don't know, I'm just scared, I haven't moved more than 8 from my home.
Okay, I understand, but you weren't involved in anything that's going on out there, right?
No, I'm with their income,
Who's
and what they want is in my house.
Do you know who it is?
They're inside your house? Okay, what's their name? I just wanted to open the door and see them. Okay, but, I just need to confirm, this individual is in your house?
Yeah,
Okay, is it male or female?
no,
And do you know what he had done?
no. I don't know what happened, I think he fell to knock my dad's body.
And so he just came into the house? Rachel? Rachel?
I not, I can't know that too. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm the one that they were calling, I'm the one, Richard MONTEZ, I'm the one that, they were trying to speak with. I'm inside. People came over here, we're going, you know, we're just over here tattooing, we're just trying to protect ourselves, but, you know, we don't want to have no problem with the police, we don't want to get shot, and we, you know, we're just being trying to hurt nobody. We just go up to the door, and it's already.
Okay, so Richard, who are you?
He's my friend of the family, it's just tattooing.
Okay, so are you the one that she was calling about that's inside the house, or who's in the house?
No, no.
With a few people inside the house right now?
Yes, ma'am, there's four males and one, Bexar. We do have guns. We don't want to come in and steal the people. We're placing everything in our families. If I have permission, I'm going to come out on my hands up. And, but I just want to, we need to know that we're not coming up to see the anything first. And we don't want to get shot. Man,
Yes, I'm still here. Just give me a moment, okay? And at this point, anyone in the house been shot?
no, ma'am, they came, luckily, they just came, my friend and my first, but, you know, my friend had pistol, and they started reaching, it escalated, they asked them to leave, but they didn't want to, and I mean, my life was in danger, so.
Richard, were you involved in any of this? What was going on?
Well, yes, ma'am, I know, because, I mean, whoever came over here, we didn't know what the hell their problem was, but, you know, I was there with my friends, and I did the big we were here, somebody phone over here, again. It was tattooing, that's what we do, I had home attack, we couldn't set it up, and the guys came over here, and, you know, they didn't man.
Okay, I understand. So how many individuals in the house?
Okay, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if I'm not mistaken, on 4 males and, hey, come on. You know what, hey, how many guys in here, go get them? Me, and there's 4 males and, 1 female, and that's my first mom. She has her kids in the hospital.
So Rachel's the female?
Yes, ma'am, that's my first mom. Right, don't open it because they're dangerous. You heard it? Okay. I'm talking outside, man. Okay. Ma'am.
Richard?
There. I'm not. I'm talking to the resident. We told her opening the door.
Richard,
Yes, ma'am.
where are the weapons? How many weapons in the home?
They're upstairs, ma'am. I'm upstairs. I'm trying to go downstairs, but they're saying not to let us move.
Who's saying that?
And I'm sorry. Okay, I need you to listen to what the officers tell you. How many weapons are in the house? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's three, 4 people in the AR-15 now. And everybody's upstairs? You know, I'm the only one right here, but I don't want to move. They're not to move. So everybody else is downstairs? Well, one of my friends, he's on the bed trying to walk, but we don't want to, they cannot move, so. I understand. No, that's okay. I need you to listen to them. I just need to go ahead and get the information, okay? Well, can you let them know that I'm upstairs? I'm letting them know. Okay, ma'am, I just. And anyone in the house injured? No, ma'am. Right in front of me. There's 3 men outside. Okay, I look up with this. There will be fine. And for you can all have done. This is not 9 times now. And they're sitting up in the air or where they sitting there? You know, they're sitting up in the air. Okay, and I didn't have to go there, but handguns, I think. They don't want to bring number one. You don't have to if you don't want to. No. That's the same thing. Well, it's not evidence of that, if you're trying to hear a lot of serious, they come in my door, they come to my home. What is your address, friend? I don't feel comfortable giving up my address. Okay, so we need to know where we're sending police to. Like, how I on my home. I don't know if that's what's the difference. Yeah. Really. The intersection of Hamilton and South Florida Street. I don't need to interrupt the junior. I heard a lot. My husband actually heard a lot. A lot. Hey, you need the exact number. But it's complicated. Yeah, it's just a lot of things. No, we're just gonna find, look, find time with that. I want them. I want anyone to do that. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. And then 1 again, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3. You're a repeated pattern every 30 to 45 minutes. There's a few seconds ago. Did you see anything? I mean, I'm feeling like that. I'm alone. I'm living like this. No. I want to talk really a second. You know, Around this area. It is just a whole around the area. Yeah. So, please, just roll on and you'll see it. Yeah. Please. Take Christopher Walk. Please, man.
Judge, I'd ask that the family be excused at this moment.
Just one moment. Could you pause, please?
We approach- we
We have
approach
parties
this.
approach. All right, state you may continue. Oh, my gosh. Oh, you just want to unplug it? Yeah. The equipment in the 187th is always not working well.
You want to tape it down?
It happens.
Dang, showing my age, I'm sorry.
Oh, you want to just put it on its back? All right, thank you. It happens. All right, state you may continue.
Anyway. Okay, okay, did it happen just now? Yes, it just happened now. The booty went to the wall and then he shot it. Okay, what's the address there? 202 Christopher Walk. No, no one got nothing. No, he the motion to your wall? Yes. What happened? Hi, can I have a video? Hi, two. What happened? Where has he been shot? Where has he been shot? Where has he been shot? Come to my door. My son, take a minute, please. He's breathing, don't mind that, he's breathing right. He's asking for air, please. Yes, my son's next to him. It was out there down. Here is no question where he's been, but I don't know. I don't know who he's been. Please, I'm going usually they get to go off their turn. You know, open my door. Open my door. I don't I see lights on something. I see lights, they don't stand. Please. Over here. Over here. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I didn't move. And then I don't want this is their class. You need police, fire, or EMS. Please. It's actually in the Castellano home. It's on Angela Street and Picoso. It's right at the corner of the and so what's going on? There's spots being fired. There's 3 guys standing outside and there was 2 they thought maybe about 10 times. Is it Angela Walk? Yeah. Or is it Angela Street and like Hamilton? Angela Walk and Picoso. They're like towards the end of the Castellano. Did those streets interstate no? Yeah, it's like yeah, state interstate. It's yes, they can turn like south or no. It's on the other side of there into where Angela Street is. I'm gonna walk it. Okay, so I'm time. Perfect. Yeah. No, make how to do that. Okay. Did you see anything else? No, I just saw the size. Your size went to them, or saw yeah, I saw this part. There's men still outside. How many could you tell? I don't know. I want to say maybe about 3. Okay, I'll turn on the way. You okay? Yes, I'm okay. I live like on the other side, but on the end. Okay, I'll turn on that. Thank you. Okay. That's turning on 911. If there's any police, I don't know. Yeah, you know, it's a previously it's a guy that's over here in Montana home, and he has a black home with white speakers, and he's walking on. It's Jimmy Street. What's the address? This is 815. 815 Gene, is it Jean? Yeah. Okay, so what are you saying, sir? There's a guy in all black, he's walking over to, Southfield. Well, like, it's still inside the neighborhood, but he, like, casually walking over there, he has a black jacket holding something in his hand. And he's like, he just walking around. I believe it could be Jim. Okay, is he black or Hispanic or other? Hispanic. Got a low haircut, tall. Now they all gathering up right there. It's like 3 of them. 3 of them, what, sir? Males, females? Yeah, 3 males. You got one in gray on a bike, white, with blue jeans. A bicycle? Yeah. What color is the shirt? Shirt is orange. Yeah, he's a Hispanic man. So the guy that you saw walking was. He was right down Jackson. The first man you're talking about, the little haircut, wearing all black, is he wearing a black sweatshirt, a black t-shirt? What is it? Oh, black, just like a black hoodie shirt. So a black hoodie? Yeah. What color, and what, is he wearing pants, shorts? He's wearing long jogging pants. Okay, and he said there's another male? Yeah, he was a far away. I couldn't see him too good. But he had black, he had on black also. I think it was a black shirt. Saltillo and where, sir? Saltillo and Hamilton. Is about between Laredo and Saltillo and Hamilton. It's a block area right there. Okay, they're calling from 210-744-9077. Yeah. Do you want officers to contact you? Or just reporting it? Let's report it in. Okay, do you want to leave your name? No. All right, have a good night. Goodbye, sir. All right.
Okay, that's the end of the recording. Just one last question. It's a little unclear because we don't know the exact times that these calls came in. Were they sometimes maybe a little out of order?
Yes, the order wasn't the exact order that they came in.
For instance, when you hear what is apparently the defendant on the phone at one point, that must have been later down from when the other calls are coming in for gunshots.
It's possible. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Defense.
We have no questions, Judge.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. Only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state of the defense. Do you understand?
I understand.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
Thank
Is
you.
this, I'm sorry, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
We don't have any need for it.
I don't believe we'll either, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you your lunch break. We're going to be back at 1:30. So there are places around where you can eat lunch. Please make sure your badges are on and are visible. You're not to discuss anything that you've heard inside the courtroom with anyone. You are not to start deliberating. I will let you know when you can deliberate. You are not to do any type of investigation work. Everything that you need to know about this case is coming from inside the courtroom. Does everyone understand? If you see someone speaking about this case, or if you see something or read something, ignore it, turn it off, don't look at it. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
All right, so we'll be back at 1:30 p.m. All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors.